let's get to the news. Donald Trump is still refusing to concede. We're doing more on that later. But for now, let's live in reality, Alyssa. Let's talk a little bit about the state of the transition, whether or not Donald Trump wants it. Joe Biden is going to be the next president of the United States, and Kamala Harris is going to be the next vice president of the United States. So can you take us through a little bit about what is going on with the transition and anything that's exciting to you about it?
A couple things. So having been through a transition and having to have planned for a transition in 2012 when we were in the White House, we still had to plan for a transition for Mitt Romney in case we lost. I will say that we are so lucky that Joe Biden is the person who is in this situation for us because he spent 8 years in the White House, so at least they know how it works. His new chief of staff, Ron Klain, also spent a lot of time in the White House, so he knows how it works. Ron Klain, a virus czar, the king of pandemics, led point for 2 of them in the White House. So I feel like we're good, right? That they are making chicken salad out of chicken shit. They should not have to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. They should not have to do that. So do I think that Team Biden is doing like a 10 out of 10 on, given what they have? Absolutely. Do I think that old GSA Emily should take time out from looking for a job because she knows that she's not going to have one soon and sign the paperwork to do what needs to be done? And so for people listening, it actually comes down to the General Services Administrator, the GSA, to sign the paperwork declaring the president-elect such that all of the resources of the transition can be handed over. That includes office space, funding to pay people. The transition is a pretty scantily funded operation to begin with. In 2008, when we had Hillary Clinton come meet with Barack Obama about being Secretary of State in Chicago, we had to go to Bed Bath & Beyond and find a pitcher to pour some apple juice in because there's no money for food or anything. And then we had to take that shit home at the end of the day and wash it ourselves. So the transition is bare bones and all the money literally goes towards paying people. The Biden team has set up agency review groups, which is typical, except typically they get paid. Everyone's doing it volunteer. So they are doing the absolute best they can. He's still not getting the security briefings that he should be getting. He has a wonderful national security team that he's had for many years since he was on the Foreign Relations Committee in the Senate. And they've all come together to sort of do what they can, but this is not what should be happening. It is not acceptable. And it doesn't really look like Team Trump is budging anytime soon on getting with God, getting with what's happening, as my old boss used to say.
Yeah, it's sort of a war on reality that just continues, despite reality closing in on them. I also have thought about the fact that, out of everybody in America, Joe Biden probably knows his way around the White House better than just about anyone else. So he doesn't need a tour or anything. He can just kind of show up and be like, it's cool. I already know where the bathrooms are.
Totally. He knows where the bathrooms are. They so many of his team know the component working parts within the West Wing, within the executive office of the president. So we're good on so much of that. They understand how the photo office works. That one was one that really blew my brain apart when I learned about it. They know all of that. It's just they need to be able to use not the most egregious, but one particularly egregious thing is that foreign leaders, including some of Trump's best friends, have made peace with the fact that Biden is president-elect. Mm-hmm. And he's being forced to accept and do these calls without the State Department connecting them, which means it's a secure call, and without translators. I can't imagine how this is going down, but they don't even have the access to the State Department translators.
The good side of that is that I imagine that in Democratic circles, there are probably a lot more multilingual people than there are in Donald Trump's circles. So there might be
Good
people
point.
just on hand available to speak, I don't know, Spanish or, Polish or
Farsi.
Yeah, right. Or, Farsi. Yeah, exactly. So that's good at least. It also seems like the courts are sort of getting very annoyed with Donald Trump's team's kind of frivolous lawsuits. I believe that as of recording time, which is Wednesday morning, they might have lost more by tomorrow. They are 1-25.
Yeah. Yep.
They've lost 25 cases. The most recent one was the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruling on Tuesday that Republican monitors observing vote counting in Pennsylvania or in Philadelphia were given access under state law to view the proceedings. It was a 5-2 decision, which is deceptive, because in the 5 justices that agreed that it was, to reject the Trump campaign suggestion, there weren't 2 people who agreed with the Trump campaign. The 2 dissenters were like, this is so stupid, it shouldn't even exist. So, like, they dissented in a way that was like, we think that you shouldn't win and also fuck you. Like, the 2
Totally.
added a fuck you on top of it. Fuck you and you're wasting my time. So Pennsylvania isn't looking good for Trump. In Michigan on Tuesday night, there was a little bit of a kerfuffle where Wayne County's election board refused to certify the county's election results. That county contains Detroit. One of the white members of the board suggested that they would certify the results except for Detroit, which is one of the most... That is like some 1960s era racism. It's not even like modern day racism. It's like antique racism. Like, it only uses leaded gasoline racism. Like, that's how old that racism is. And then there was an outcry everywhere. And eventually the board did reverse. And instead of being deadlocked 2-2 on partisan lines, the board decided to certify the election results, which means that Michigan's election results are now certified. Trump's path to victory has been non-existent since people showed up to vote, and his path to non-reality is narrowing. What do you think? Do you think he's going to concede, like, ever, Alyssa?
No. He's not going to concede. He is going to be like, I had like a whole thing in my head, I think, about what he would say. Mostly, I think he's just going to like stomp out of the West Wing at some point and just not go back. Like, he's going to continue firing people who are somewhat critical to the function of government. I mean, God, we didn't even talk about the fact he just woke up on Monday and was like, I'm withdrawing troops from Iraq and Afghanistan. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Jesus Christ. I mean, we have to just hope that people don't do what he says. But at some point, he's going to run out of things to stop doing, and he's just going to have to leave.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been going to virus briefings for the last 5 months.
Forever.
Yeah, and that, which is like crazy. I read an article recently that said that he had, quote unquote, stopped trying to fight the virus, which implied that at some point he had been trying, which is like very
The only
upsetting.
time he tried to fight the virus was when he had it.
I know, and he didn't even do it alone. That's like saying I flew cross country using only my arms when really I flew an airplane. Like, no, I was on a plane and the pilot flew it. Donald Trump was treated in a 6-room suite in one of the best hospitals in America by a team of experts.
Every doctor.
With every doctor using an experimental treatment. Look, all I have to say is that when I know I'm on a Jimmy Carter kick, but I think
You really are.
He's a real
You're
fucking...
obsessed with Jimmy Carter.
I love him so much. I'm in one of my friends' phones as Jimmy Carter. Whenever Jimmy Carter gets sick, we better deploy at least twice as many doctors to keep that American treasure alive, because he is important.
I agree.
He's important. I want him around to cheer for Joe Biden's inauguration on January 20th, whether or not the Trump family is there pouting like pieces of shit.